You know, there's a feeling that can creep in sometimes, especially in a quiet moment in the afternoon, or maybe when you're looking at old photographs. It's not quite sadness, and it's not quite boredom. It's more of a hollowness. A sense that the world has gotten a little quieter, that your phone doesn't ring as much as it used to, and that the circle of people who truly get you seems to have gotten smaller over the years. Maybe you felt it after a holiday gathering when the family has all gone home, and the house feels too still. Or perhaps you felt it when you have a story to tell, a piece of news, good or bad, and you find yourself thinking, who would I even call to tell this to? If that sounds familiar, if you've ever felt lonely or maybe even a little taken for granted by the very people you love the most, I want you to know something right now. You are not alone in feeling that way. It is one of the most common experiences we face as we get older, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. But here is the most important thing I'm going to tell you today. It is never too late to build new connections. It is never too late to find your people, to create a new circle of friends who see you, appreciate you, and bring joy and laughter back into your life. Your story is still being written, and the next chapter can be filled with more companionship and purpose than you might imagine. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. We're going to walk through 4 powerful, and surprisingly simple, ways to rebuild your social circle after 70. This isn't about becoming a social butterfly if that's not who you are. This is about cultivating genuine, meaningful connections that make you feel valued and engaged with life. Now, the first strategy we're going to explore might seem a little unexpected because our instinct is often to look outward for new people. But the most powerful connection we can often make is actually a reconnection. I'm talking about reaching back to reconnect with old friends and acquaintances. I can almost hear some of you thinking, oh, but it's been so many years. They've probably forgotten me, or what would we even talk about? But think about this for a moment. The beautiful thing about friendships with a shared past is that you have a foundation. You have a shared history, shared memories. You don't have to start from scratch. That foundation is like fertile ground, and with just a little bit of care, something beautiful can grow back. So, how do you start? It doesn't have to be a grand, overwhelming gesture. It can be small and simple. Maybe you're on Facebook, a lot of us are these days. See if you can find an old friend from your workplace, or your old neighborhood, or from the club you used to belong to. Send them a simple, friendly message. You could say something like, "Hi Joan, it's been so long. I was just thinking about that time we tried to put together that backyard garden and everything ended up growing sideways. It made me smile and I just wanted to see how you are doing." That's it. No pressure. You're not inviting them to your birthday party, you're just sending a little spark of memory across the miles. Often, that's all it takes. They are probably feeling a very similar longing for connection, and your message could be the very thing that brightens their entire week. And if you're not online, that's perfectly fine. The good old-fashioned telephone still works wonders. Or even a card. The medium doesn't matter, the intention does. The act of reaching out says, you mattered to me then, and you still matter to me now. And that is a powerful, powerful message to send and to receive. Now, once you've made that initial contact, the next step is to gently suggest a low-pressure way to meet. This is key. You don't want to propose a weekend-long visit that might feel like too much. Instead, keep it casual. I'd love to hear more about what you've been up to. Would you be interested in meeting for a cup of coffee sometime, or I'm going to be at the library on Tuesday morning, if you'd like to join me for a chat. The goal here is to rebuild the bridge, one plank at a time. It might feel a little awkward at first, that's completely normal after years apart. But more often than not, you'll find that within minutes, the years just melt away, and you're connecting with the person you remember, and better yet, getting to know the person they are today. So, that's our first powerful way to rebuild your social circle. Look backwards to move forwards. Rekindle those old friendships. You'll be surprised at how many embers are still warm, just waiting for a little breath of air to turn back into a warm, comforting flame. Now, let's move on to the second strategy, which is all about looking forward and trying something completely new. This one is about finding your tribe based not on a shared past, but on a shared interest in the present. It's about discovering local groups and classes that are filled with people who are interested in the same things you are. This might sound a bit daunting. The idea of walking into a room full of strangers can be intimidating at any age. But here's the secret: you won't be strangers for long, because you already have the perfect conversation starter, the shared activity itself. Think about something you've always been curious about. Maybe it's watercolor painting, or birdwatching, or learning how to use your iPad to video call your grandchildren. Maybe it's a book club at the local library, a gardening group at the community center, or a gentle yoga class designed for seniors. The activity itself is almost secondary. The primary goal is to put yourself in a room with the same group of people, on a regular basis, who are all there for the same reason. When you do that, magic starts to happen. You're not forcing conversation, it arises naturally. You can turn to the person next to you and say, "I'm really struggling with this brush stroke, how are you doing it?" Or, "What did you think of that chapter last week? I found it so surprising." The shared experience does all the heavy lifting for you. It provides a structure and a common ground that makes starting a conversation feel effortless. And the best part is, you are all there to learn, to grow, or to enjoy something together. That creates a wonderful sense of camaraderie and mutual support. You're not just a group of individuals, you become a small community. You start to look forward to seeing these people. You learn their names, you ask about their lives, and before you know it, you've made a new friend. You've found someone you can go for a coffee with after the class, or call up to talk about something other than the hobby you share. So, take a look at your local community center bulletin board, or do a quick search online for senior activities in your town. Be a little brave. Choose one thing that sounds even mildly interesting, and just show up. You don't have to be the star of the class. Just be present. Show up consistently, and the connections will naturally begin to form. It's a gentle, organic way to build a new social circle, one shared interest at a time. We've covered two powerful ways so far: reconnecting with old friends and bravely trying new group activities. And this is a wonderful foundation to build upon. But there is another, often overlooked, way to build deep and meaningful connections, and that's exactly where we're going to pick things up next. Now, we've been talking about finding your people, and we've covered some wonderful ways to do that by looking back at old friendships and looking around at new groups and classes. But there is another path to connection that is so powerful, because it doesn't just fill your social calendar, it fills your soul with a sense of purpose. And that is the power of giving back, of finding connection through volunteering and service. I know what some of you might be thinking. I've spent my whole life giving. I raised a family, I worked hard at my job. Now is supposed to be my time to rest. And you are absolutely right. You have earned your rest. But hear me out on this, because the kind of giving I'm talking about isn't about draining your energy. It's about a specific kind of giving that actually generates energy. It's about sharing the one thing you have more of than anyone else, your lifetime of experience. Think about it. You have wisdom. You have skills. You have patience and perspective that only come from having lived a long and full life. And there are so many people, and so many organizations, who are desperately in need of exactly what you have to offer. When you volunteer, you are not just a warm body filling a slot. You are a repository of knowledge and kindness, and you are placing that into a situation where it is genuinely valued and needed. And that feeling, the feeling of being genuinely needed and valued, is a profound antidote to feeling unappreciated. It's hard to feel lonely when you are surrounded by people who are grateful for your presence. It's hard to feel like you don't matter when a young person you're mentoring looks to you for guidance, or when an animal at the shelter curls up in your lap because it feels safe with you. The beauty of volunteering is that it creates natural, unforced connections built on a shared mission. You're not trying to make friends, you're working alongside people to sort food at the food bank, to read to children at the library, to help maintain the trails at a local park, or to welcome visitors at a museum. The friendship becomes a wonderful byproduct of the shared work. You're a team. And when you're part of a team, conversation flows easily. You talk about the task at hand, you share stories during a break, and you slowly learn about each other's lives. And it doesn't have to be a huge, demanding commitment. That's the other beautiful part. You are in control. You can give just 2 hours a week, or even 2 hours a month. The goal is to find something that feels good, that aligns with your interests and your physical energy. Love to knit or crochet? There are groups that make blankets for premature babies or hats for cancer patients. Love history? Your local historical society would likely be thrilled to have you. Miss having a dog but can't have one full-time? Shelters often need people just to come and walk the dogs and give them some affection. When you give your time in this way, you are doing more than just helping a cause. You are sending a powerful message to yourself: I have something important to contribute. My presence makes a difference. And you will meet other people who are there for the same reason, people with good, generous hearts. And that, my friends, is exactly the kind of person you want in your social circle. Now, this brings us to our fourth and final strategy, and in many ways, it's the one that ties everything else together. It's perhaps the most subtle shift, but it can have the most dramatic impact on how you feel in all your relationships, old and new. And that is to shift your focus from your circumstances to your mindset, to actively cultivate an attitude of gratitude and positivity. I can feel some of you getting skeptical. You want me to just be positive when I feel lonely? That sounds like pretending. And I understand that. This is not about slapping a happy face on when you're feeling down. It's not about denying your very real feelings. It's about a practical, conscious choice to redirect your attention. Here's what happens. When we feel lonely or unappreciated, our mind goes into a sort of scavenger hunt, looking for all the evidence to prove that we are right to feel that way. We notice the phone that didn't ring, the friend who canceled, the child who didn't say thank you. And the more we look for that evidence, the more we find, and the worse we feel. It becomes a downward spiral. But we can consciously choose to break that cycle. We can start a new scavenger hunt. We can start looking for the tiny, little sparks of connection and kindness that are often all around us, but that we were too busy overlooking. This is the practice of gratitude. It's about actively looking for the good. It could be as simple as the cashier at the grocery store who gave you a genuine smile and asked how your day was. It could be the neighbor who waved to you from across the street. It could be the warmth of the sun on your face, or the taste of a perfectly brewed cup of tea. When you start to notice these things, and you actively take a moment to appreciate them, you begin to rewire your brain. You start to see that connection and appreciation aren't always grand gestures, they are often found in these small, quiet moments. And this has a direct impact on your social life. People are naturally drawn to those who carry a sense of appreciation and warmth. When you interact with others from a place of gratitude, you become a better listener. You ask more questions. You are more open and receptive. You smile more easily. You become the kind of person that others enjoy being around. Think about the last time you spoke with someone who was constantly complaining, or who seemed to carry a cloud of negativity with them. It's draining, isn't it? Now, think about someone who makes you feel good when you're with them. They are probably someone who is interested in you, who finds the good in situations, who is quick to laugh. That is the energy we want to cultivate within ourselves. So, how do you start? You can begin a simple gratitude practice. Each morning or each evening, just think of 3 small things you are grateful for. They don't have to be big. They can be anything. And when you are talking to people, practice genuine appreciation. Give a specific compliment. I always enjoy our conversations, you have such interesting stories. Or, thank you for suggesting we meet here, this was a wonderful idea. This shift in your internal mindset is like putting on a pair of glasses that allows you to see the opportunities for connection that were always there. It makes you more approachable, more engaging, and it allows you to fully enjoy and appreciate the new connections you are forming through the other strategies we've discussed. So, we have our 4 powerful strategies: reconnecting with old friends, finding new groups, giving back through service, and cultivating a grateful heart. Now, I want to bring all of this together and talk about how you can start putting these ideas into practice in a way that feels manageable and joyful without feeling overwhelmed. Now, bringing it all together, it can feel like a lot, can't it? Reconnecting, joining groups, volunteering, working on your mindset, it might seem like a full-time job. But I want to let you in on a little secret. You don't have to do all of it at once. In fact, you shouldn't. The goal here isn't to overwhelm you, it's to empower you. It's to give you a toolkit, and you get to choose which tool feels right for you to pick up first. So, let's talk about how you start. The very first step isn't picking up the phone or driving to the community center. The very first step is simply this: give yourself permission. Permission to want more connection. Permission to take up space. Permission to believe that your happiness and your social life are still worth investing in. So many of us, especially from our generation, were taught to put everyone else first, to not be a burden, to be content with what we have. But I am here to tell you that wanting companionship, wanting to feel seen and appreciated, is not a neediness. It is a fundamental human need, like food or water. So, please, right now, just take a breath and give yourself that permission. Now, with that permission slip signed and sealed in your heart, I want you to think about these 4 strategies not as a rigid to-do list, but as a menu of possibilities. Look them over. Which one feels like a gentle nudge, not a shove? Which one sparks a little flicker of interest, or even a quiet feeling of relief? Maybe the idea of reaching out to an old friend feels like the most natural place to begin. It feels safe, familiar. If that's you, then that is your perfect starting point. Perhaps the thought of walking into a room of strangers makes you nervous, but the idea of volunteering for a cause you love feels so right that it overshadows the nervousness. Then that is your path. There is no right or wrong answer. The best strategy for you is the one that you will actually enjoy doing. And once you've chosen your starting point, I want you to make what I call a microplan. We can get intimidated by big, vague goals like make new friends. So, let's shrink it down to something so small it feels impossible to fail. If you've chosen to reconnect with an old friend, your microplan isn't reconnect with Joan. It's find Joan's phone number or Facebook profile this afternoon. That's it. Just find it. The next day, your microplan could be, write a 2-sentence message to Joan. And the day after that, maybe it's send a message. If you've chosen to try a local group, your microplan isn't join a book club. It's look up the time of the next book club meeting at the library. Then, the next step is, drive to the library on the day of the meeting and walk in the door. You don't even have to promise to stay for the whole thing. Just get yourself through the door. By breaking it down into these tiny, non-threatening steps, you take the pressure off. You're not rebuilding your entire social circle. You're just performing one small, manageable task. And each small success builds your confidence for the next step. And as you take these small steps, I want you to make one powerful promise to yourself, the promise of self-compassion. There will be moments that feel awkward. A phone call might feel a little stilted at first. You might go to a group and feel a bit quiet and shy. That is okay. That is normal. It is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of courage. You are trying something new. So, be your own best friend. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to a dear friend who was trying this. You would be kind, you would be encouraging, you would celebrate their bravery for simply showing up. Please, offer that same grace to yourself. This journey of connection is also a journey back to yourself. It's a reminder of the wonderful, interesting, valuable person you are. You are not just someone's parent, or grandparent, or former job title. You are you. With a unique sense of humor, a lifetime of stories, and perspectives that no one else in the world has. The world needs to hear those stories. The people you have yet to meet need to experience your friendship. So, what one small step will you take this week? I would absolutely love to hear about it. Your stories are what make this community so special. So, please, share in the comments below. Tell me which of these strategies resonates with you, or share a story about a time you bravely reached out and made a connection. Your experience could be the very thing that gives someone else the courage they need to take their first step. If you found this conversation helpful, if it gave you a little bit of hope and a few practical ideas, please do give this video a like. It really helps others find this community. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and ring that little bell. We are here together, figuring out this next wonderful chapter of our lives, and I'd be honored to have you along for the journey. Remember, it is never too late to build a life filled with friendship, purpose, and joy. It all starts with one small step. I believe in you, and I can't wait to hear about the beautiful connections you are about to make. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Your opinions are very valuable to us, so please feel free to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating quality content to inform and inspire you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.